The Colon Girl. When a CCD camera enters the entrance of his aged colon, an unknown naked girl appears dimly in a 3D imagery on the monitor positioned in front of the old poet. "Don't pretend to forget me," she says, and shows her vagina to him. "You forgot to cut your middle finger's nail, so it injured me right here in bed last night," she says, and he starts wondering whether she is pointing at her pubic region or his own stretched anus. His face draws up at the weird pain, and the doctor says with a grin, "Are you a colonoscopy virgin? No worries. The whole thing will be done like a flash." While the fiberscope creeps along, the pristine girl straddles it as if she rides on a carousel and shouts a line from The Catcher in the Rye, which is the old poet's favorite. "I'm sort of glad they've got the atomic bomb invented. If there is ever another war, I'm going to sit right the hell on top of it." "Look, this is your rectum. Seems clean and healthy," the doctor says. "Do you remember," the girl asks, "what you said in bed? Everybody in this world is a stolen child, every family tie is a sham, and every stranger can be your kin, you said." She chuckles, while he is still afraid of cancer. The camera turns right and shows numerous damp folds on the monitor. "I don't want to drink tap water anymore," a nurse says to her colleague in the next room. "Oh, are you afraid of the radiation leak? Come on, it's not at the dangerous level yet," the colleague says. The nurse grimaces and says, "I don't buy that. The radiation adds up. Nothing so threatening like the quake-hit nuclear power plant." The old poet ponders how many times the tap water has run over those rolling falls. "Ah, my fall body smells like a laxative," the girl says, and starts romping again, pinching her nose. The old poet closes his eyes and feels the girl taking a shower in the dark. "Do you still believe," she asks, "that the moderation of good produces likewise a moderation in evil? You said so last night, even mentioning Anthony so-and-so's excess of virtue," she adds. He vaguely remembers telling someone about Saint Anthony of Egypt somewhere in the distant past. If the monk had stayed at home and attended to his sister, no devils would have plagued him. "Now may be the time for you to be plagued, goody-goody," she adds. His eyes open again and see the CCD moving slowly into the transverse column. "So far so good," the doctor says. The old poet stares at his middle fingers. The fiberscope pushes forward further, and the darkness in the old poet is revealed one after another. The girl is getting bigger and older on the monitor, and he cannot imagine any longer how further she can grow. Now dressed up just like the radiation-fearing nurse, she peeps back into the CCD and asks him why he didn't look into her eyes in bed. He cannot reply. I still miss you so much, she says, and asks again, You know why? The old poet answers, Who are you anyway? At the same time, though, he somehow feels as if he knows this 3D mature woman beyond time and space. Now, to the old poet, the doctor seems to have told him a bloody lie. This colonoscopy goes on and on like an eternity, and on the contrary, the Earth's age seems so momentary. The fibroscope finally descends into the ascending column, discovering no polyp whatsoever. I still miss you, the girl-turned-hag says, while bouncing listlessly on the slimy walls. Because you are just like a vacant house in my neighborhood, at which I have gazed idly since my earliest recollections, out of my bedroom window every night. The old poet tries to ask the doctor what time it is, but somehow cannot ask clearly. I don't know who lived there, and I don't care why they all had to run away under cover of night, she continues. Yet, gazing at the house every night, I've gradually found myself imagining so realistically their old happy days, their lovely smiles, their clean laundry, their joyful dinners, and their peaceful sleep. I don't know who they are, but due to this weird habit of watching the vacancy, I still cannot stop feeling as if an important part of me has disappeared with those complete strangers. Suddenly, pointing at the monitor, the radiation-fearing nurse mumbles to the doctor, Isn't this a polyp, Tony? The hag hides completely behind the millimeter-sized lump. If you want to remove this, she whispers, remove me with it, my beloved Holden Caulfield. Looking closely at the 3D imagery, the doctor still wonders whether it is benign or malignant. The final decision is simply beyond the old poet. He closes his eyes again and dimly notices the demolished nuclear power plant in the pitch darkness. It's just like me, he thinks, and feels the earth shake, and feels the fourth column tremble. Ah, I think I'm beginning to know what time is truly like, he says to himself, and finally opens his vacant eyes again.